Congress has moved to release Justice Department files on Jeffrey Epstein, approving a bill unanimously in the Senate and overwhelmingly in the House. The measure comes after President Trump reversed his stance, urging transparency following public pressure. The records, which will include documents, communications and flight logs connected to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, are now heading to Trump's desk for his expected signature. Survivors and advocates hailed the move as a step towards accountability. For more on this, I'm joined from Istanbul by former US Ambassador Matthew Bryza. Matthew, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me. Okay, a bill to release the Epstein files. It's getting ever closer. The House of Representatives was near unanimous in voting for the material to be released. Why has there been so much bipartisan support in favor of these documents being revealed?
And by the way, the Senate was unanimous in its votes also, which came much quicker than people expected. The reason why there's such bipartisan support is twofold. One reason is political, one reason is moral. The political reason is that President Trump campaigned, in part, promising to release the Epstein files after he had pressed the Biden administration to do so. So the Democrats are saying, okay, now you're in office, you promised to release these files, why aren't you? What are you trying to hide? Whereas at the same time, Trump's MAGA base in the Republican Party feels very strongly, for the second reason, the emotional and ethical and moral reason that these files need to be released. And what I mean by the ethical moral issue is that these were clearly young women, girls in some cases, as young as 15 years old, who were sexually abused, raped in some cases, at least one committed suicide. So this, the abuse, sexual abuse of women and girls by rich and powerful men, you can understand, is a very powerful emotional issue in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, it's a two-pronged one, political and moral, Matthew. But things are moving pretty quickly as the bill now awaits Trump's signature. But could the US president potentially scupper it?
If you were having this conversation with me yesterday, I would say yes. And there's a good chance he will persuade the Senate to derail the effort, and he may be able to veto, or he may choose to veto the bill when it passes, if it passes the Senate, because to override a presidential veto, you need 2/3 of the House, the Senate to vote in favor of overturning the president's veto. But clearly, this bill now has way more than 2/3 support. So the Congress would override President Trump's veto were he to try to veto the bill. And so if things stand tomorrow or whenever the bill comes to the president, as they are right now, no, there's nothing the president can do to stop this.
So President Trump's long-term ally, Marjorie Taylor Greene, held a news conference with Epstein survivors. She has come out in support of the victims. We've seen that very strong in the US. Do you think that cracks in the MAGA movement are now becoming much deeper over the release of these Epstein files?
I do, and I fully agree with you that the turnaround by Marjorie Taylor Greene, whom President Trump now calls Marjorie Traitor Greene or even Brown, is a powerful sign of a big crack. There are others, though. There's strong differences within the MAGA coalition about President Trump's activity or his high degree of activeness on foreign affairs, rather than just focusing on what he promised to do from day one in office, which is lower domestic prices, especially for food. And there's also growing differences within the MAGA coalition about immigration. There are many members of the MAGA coalition that want there to be zero immigration. There are some who would like to see control of the southern border of the United States, and stronger controls on who actually enters the country. President Trump is one of those. And so, in fact, President Trump is among people even more, let's say, positive about immigration within the MAGA coalition, and that he said a couple of days ago that the U.S. needs more so-called H-1B visas. These are visas for people of particularly high levels of talent to come into the United States to perform functions and jobs that can't be fulfilled by Americans. Marjorie Taylor Greene strongly disagrees with that approach. So yeah, there are deepening and widening cracks in the MAGA movement.
And also, Donald Trump, let's talk about his polling, because polling right now shows Trump's popularity is at the lowest since he's returned to the White House. Many Americans are unhappy with his handling of the Epstein investigation. Why do you think we're now seeing his popularity fall so dramatically in many ways?
Yeah, and it's ironic it's falling just as he's having a lot of success in foreign policy. Yeah, the numbers have really collapsed. I mean, you know, he used to have in the mid 40% support, and that's okay for a U.S. president. It's kind of normal. Once people get elected, their popularity goes down in any political system. But if a president's approval ratings are only like in the mid 30s, 34%, 35%, like now, that is a problem. That makes it more difficult to govern, and then you start to see revolts against the president by his own party, as we're seeing with the Epstein file release, as we've been talking about. So I think, the reason why his popularity is decreasing is, what I said, splits the coalition about migration or immigration, splits about how active he is on foreign policy rather than focusing on problems at home. And I think really the main issue is what the Democrats are calling affordability. Inflation remains high, relatively higher than President Trump promised. It's at about 3% now, much better than it was in 2023 when it was around 9%. But still, the prices, especially for food in the U.S., are much higher than President Trump promised they would be. So as a result, in recent days, he said he's going to reduce tariff on certain food items to try to bring food prices down, because he feels that one reason why the Republicans did so poorly in regional and local elections a week and a half ago or so is because prices are too high, and also because the government was shut down. The government shutdown was very unpopular, and I think most voters blame the Republicans rather than the Democrats.
Matthew Bryza, it's always fascinating to get your insights and analysis. As always, thank you for your time.
Thank you.